little that I know about you seems like a lot. I know you have so much experience in Aikido. You said that you've been doing that for decades, as well as
Yes.
some experience in Taekwondo and karate.
Mhm.
So, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so I started I didn't start doing the Taekwondo was the first martial art I got into. And that was around I think when I started that I was in the 10th grade. That was around 87.
Hmm.
And and I live in a small area, so we grow up seeing all this stuff on TV and movies, and I was always into action movies, and I was like, want to be like this guy. You got certain people you idolize from TV, and so when I was in the 10th grade, that's when I started taking Taekwondo, and you have to sign up for a year. I don't know if it's the same now. Like you had to sign up for sign a year's contract,
Hmm.
and I remember I signed that contract, and about the 10th month, I stopped going, and they would send a check in the mail, like the thing you had to pay, like it was just at the time $25 a month,
Hmm.
but I kept getting them in the mail. My dad said, you got to pay this, right? And this number on the menu that you like a certain type music or whatever, and this is like I've, this is one thing I noticed in the martial art community. Like you got some people that like to diss other martial arts, and I said I had to check myself a couple of years ago on that, and I said, you know what, it's not. They all have their uses, and I look at them like recipes. Like we're all trying to get the same place, but you got some people use other spices. Some people have different methods. Like the way they do things,
Let me
and they're
ask you
all.
this question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say,
Uh-huh.
I was telling you about around the 10th month I
Right.
stopped going, and I found myself getting bored with it. And I was 17 at the time, so 17-year-old mind other places, but I started getting the last 2 months I just kind of stopped going.
Hmm.
But go ahead. Yes, you was gonna say something.
I was going to ask you, do you think Taekwondo is like the gateway style in martial arts that most people generally start off with Taekwondo?
Yeah, I heard some people say that, and it definitely was for me because, and I've heard people say, well, all right, well, I started with Taekwondo, and structure. You got structure, and you got stance and everything, and it just teaches you teaches you some discipline, and that's what it did to me. Like and it just starts you off, and then you say, okay, well, all right, now I want to go to another art. But I've definitely heard a lot of people say that was their start.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
tell us, what is Aikido exactly?
Okay, so Aikido is Japanese in origin, and the story we got was the founder of Aikido is a Jap older. Well, he's no longer with us now, but his name was Morihei Washiba, and he had some students and he taught them, and they spread out to different parts of the world. And I was told that the guy that started the type of Aikido I take, which is called Tamiki Aikido, his name was Kinjai Tamiki.
Hmm.
And you got different forms, like you may see somebody and it's a famous guy, Christian Han, I think his name, he's in from France, I think.
Okay.
And he, and he, and I watch him on his video, he's doing a different style. But it gives you the option of protecting yourself against a larger and stronger attacker,
Okay.
and and allows you. So Aikido is all about. It's got a certain flow to it. Like if somebody was to come up and push me or try to hit me, in our style of Aikido, Tamiki Aikido, we're always using two hands. We're gonna start with the two hands, and so you'll probably find me standing up. Okay, and tell me if you can still see me, right?
Yes.
Okay, so like if somebody was approaching me,
Okay.
well, the first thing we go, I say what? Go ahead.
No, I'm saying yes.
Okay, so one of the first things we learn is, how close somebody has to be to touch you or to do physical harm. And so one person will stand, we'll extend our arm and we'll touch our palms. And like if somebody was a step closer than that, then they can physically touch you. And so, you know, usually you got people, like a lot of times people stand face to face, and it's like this, some people call it the interview stage. Okay. And they'll say, be telling you what all they're going to do to you and how they displeased with something you did.
I'm going to mess you up.
Yeah, all this, the speech, right?
Right.
And I watch a lot of these, you know, you see all these videos online on YouTube, and they're like, you know, we used to do that in middle school and high school, like they'll stand face to face. And I'm like, why is he doing that? I said, okay, so he's diverted your attention. He's got you looking, you know, eye to eye, and you don't know what he's got in his hand or whatever. But anyway, what I was about to say about the distance is like, you know, so they start us off with that, like we'll touch hands, and that's just basically a measuring tool. And then one person attack and one person defends. And so, you know, people don't come at you like this, but when you make contact with somebody, it's all the same. Like whether somebody's pushing you, they're grabbing you, right. And what you're learning to do is to deal with that incoming force. And so we always, if somebody comes in, we put those hands up first and we step perpendicular. You're going to step to the left or to the right. Uh-huh. You may step back, you know, or, you know, like there's situations you might step into them, but usually I'll bring both my hands up and we make contact, you know, whichever way their energy is pushing me, that's where I'm going to go. So I'm always trying to get in sync with their energy. You know, the drawing, the image, the yin and yang.
Yes.
Okay. So that's, you know, that's how this is, or it's like a, are you familiar with the term, Fibonacci?
No, not quite.
It's like a it's a spiral pattern. Mm-hmm. And you know, whirlwinds, like what is it, like tornadoes, and what's the big one? We have them coming in.
Tornadoes.
Yeah.
Twisters.
Hurricanes. Yes. Okay. So
numerical sequence, is that right? That's what.
Yes. And I got it on my refrigerator. I'm going to show you. Say again.
Lazar's numerical sequence.
Exactly, Lazar's, exactly. And I, you know, I found this out like I you know, a few years ago I was taking an online course and trade foreign currencies, and he used the term Fibonacci, and he started explaining it, and I looked it up, and I was like, you know, and I started researching it, and that's definitely so that spiral. So what we do is like, you know, most of your, and this is probably leading to your next question, like you was going to ask me, like, what's the difference in Aikido and Taekwondo? So most of your striking arts, you know, like you're opposing that force, like you're blocking, and then you're striking. Yeah, you got to, you know, like certain blocks, and you know, like you're meeting that force that's coming at you. And so what I want to do, like, you know, I talked about the two-handed block. This is just to keep you from coming in, like once you get in my immediate space, this is to keep you from coming into my immediate space, coming in closer. And when you start pushing or, you know, shoving or whatever, I'm just gonna step to the side, and the gas that you've allowed me, the energy that you put in there, that's what I'm working off of. Right. And so you know, and it's just like if somebody was coming to swing at you and they miss. You know, you got to eat that energy that you put in there,
right, and follow through.
Right. And so what happens is, so we're just thinking, we're just trying to keep them getting hit. So you got the person trying to push you. So okay, so they make contact, you step aside, and they got to do something again. Like they got to, you know, like what you would like to do when you step aside. You like somebody try to push you, you step out of the way. It's like I got your forearm and your elbow and stuff in my hands. You know, hopefully, you know, my goal at that point is that, you know, I got you stretched out, hopefully, because you pushed at me and I evaded that.
Right.
And so I'm over here, so you're going to try to turn and face me. You know, you got to do something else. And so when you're trying to catch up or re-chamber or whatever, I'm taking you're off balance.
Right.
You know, like, because if you really tried to push me, you really committed to it. You're stepping into me. and you gave me something to work off of. So you're off balance and I got you stretched out.
Right.
And so when you try to do something else, I got an elbow to work with. So, and the fact that he's off balance, generally, you're going to try to keep the person going, like whichever way they're leaning. Okay, so you help them to keep going in that direction.
Now,
and
I'm sorry. I want to say Sensei Freeman, that I personally don't know Aikido. I know my father had experience with Aikido, but I can tell you, being from New York and growing up on those streets and doing street fighting, and it's all about not invading personal space. Like if someone comes this close, like you have to fight. So I can see how Aikido could be useful, you know, in self-defense and keeping people out your space. Because if you keep them that way, you can pretty much, you know, the whole thing was like keeping your face from getting scratched, keeping your in your ear, keeping your hair, keeping your shirt on as a woman. So if you're able to divert people, men, women, whoever you was coming towards you using Aikido, that would be excellent.
Yeah, you're escaping a lot of, because you know the clothes pulling in the hair, grabbing, all that's gonna come.
Yeah.
And you know, and you keep them. And one of the things too, like you see me keep bringing up my hands. A lot of times what happens is like somebody walks straight into you. They're trying to do that, like, you know, what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And like, you know, they would tell us like, you know, like if somebody's face to face with you, they're not looking at your hands, they're looking at your face.
Right.
And so you can't see. And we used to do this drill, like if me and you were standing face to face, I stand this way, and like we'll say, okay, so say like I'm raising my hand, and they'll say, tell me when you see the hand, and so we just raise it real slow.
Now you're looking out of your peripheral for the hand.
Yeah, no, I'm. Can you see me? So I'm moving. Okay. Yeah, so you can see. You know, like the person. Like they're standing right in front of me.
Okay.
And I'm just raising my hand, and what I want them to tell me is like, when did you, like you're looking at me face to face, when did you notice this something moving?
Right.
And usually it's like when it gets halfway up.
Okay.
You know, like if they're focusing on my face, they're like, okay, I see when it gets right up in here. And you know, usually that's like if you're standing arguing with somebody and you just notice the hand when it's about halfway up, you didn't already got slapped. You know, you didn't already, you know what I'm saying? It's too late to play catch up then.
So listen, that you are so right. Even not being trained in Aikido, just being on the street, like I noticed one time I was at the courthouse and this man was so mad. He ran up to my car. Thank God I had my windows closed, but I was looking at his hands. I could see his fist, but his fist was at his side. So I knew once that comes up. So with your training, Sensei, people don't realize, I could tell you from being on those streets, that is amazing to be able to recognize your window.
Right.
And as Lazarus said, control the flow of battle.
Right. That's a game changer in itself. And something else. And I don't hear you know, my instructor, like, you know, we would go over lesson plans, and every so many months, like you would see the same thing again. Let's say like the one I just showed you, like when we're standing up and coming at each other with our hand like this. Mm-hmm. That was a lesson plan that had about 24, 25 different katas in it. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And so we would go over it. And let's say about 6-7 months later, after we done some other lesson plans, we would come back to it again. And we would go over it, but this time he would go over it and he would go a little more. He would expound a little more. You know, kind of like it's like in church. Sometimes they go over a certain scripture and they, you know, sometimes you go a little deeper. You know,
right.
And so, but he would go deeper, and you would see. Okay, so you know, it's like it's always you get more of it. You know, mm-hmm. And so, but this right, what a lot of people don't talk about is, okay, so again with the striking arts, like and like, you know, they're you know, attacking, like somebody comes at you, boom, you defending, and then you're going on the offense. Whereas, like I said, again, our thing is like, you know, we stop that threat from coming in, because usually you getting hit with, you know, people don't usually use both of their hands at the same time unless they're pushing, unless they're pushing you or trying to choke you, or, you know, trying to, you know, grab your hair and all that kind of stuff. But if somebody's gonna hit you, usually it's gonna be one hand, it's gonna be one, and, you know, the other one is probably gonna be right behind it. But, you know, they're not gonna hit you at the same time with two fists. You know, that's on the Three Stooges or something, you know. But you know, yeah, usually it's one at a time.
Right.
And so, and all of your, so you're expending all of your energy, boom, trying to get me right there, and you're leaning in my direction, and so that's where you catch them. But while, you know, like if I walk up to you and I'm pushing you or hitting you, you know, I'm using upper body energy and strength to do that, right?
Right.
And so now, in order for me to do that, I got to be firm on the ground.
Right.
You know, and this is something. Okay, so you heard me talk about we move.
Right.
And, you know, one of the reasons for that is, you know, like, to get out of the way of the thread. You know, I already got my hands up, so that's at the same time. So I'm, boom, give my hands up and I'm moving. And so I got perpendicular to you, and I got to cause you, the equation has changed. So I got to cause you to do something different, because, you know, your plan was to come up to me and just go to wailing on me, and I guess I was supposed to volunteer, stand right there and take it. But, you know, the equation is always changing. And so now, if on my end, if I'm doing the same thing there, this attacker is doing, like, or trying to grab him or whatever, I'm using upper body strength and energy too. Now, if I'm using upper body energy, I'm not free to move.
Right.
You know, like this. So I gotta move. And when I hold my hands up, I'm not using strength. It's, you know, like, you can just stand on the wall and put your hands right there, and you're not, it's not causing you any extra energy to do that. You just, you know, got your arms extended. And something else too, the palms, right? Your palm is going to go back only so far, and then it's fixed like that,
right?
You know? And this is what you're trying to, if you can get your hands in somebody's face, you know, you can cause them to, you know, that's a saying in martial arts, and, you know, like, you control the head, you control the body.
Right.
And, you know, like, what you want to do is, like, if you can just get them looking up a certain way, you know, like, you know, you're manipulating their movement.
Which is kind of what I've seen, like, on your feed, on your Instagram feed. I've seen a lot of pictures where you're teaching women self-defense, and they have their palm on your chin, and you're up like that.
Right.
So is that kind of like what you're speaking of now?
Yeah, exactly. So that's, and, like, that's based off of, you know, like, the thing was, like, I came at them,
right,
and they just, you know, for the card, it was one hand, you know, put one hand up, and you see them, like, you know, like, or, like, you see one, but yeah, that's to answer your question. Yeah, that's what they're doing.
So
yeah.
So tell us about the benefits of women using self-defense.
Okay.
And particularly Aikido. I mean, I'm already convinced, but from my street fighting experience,
right.
What is it that women need to know? You know.
Okay, so, you know, as far as, you know, like, at being a woman, you know, you at times I said, you're gonna face probably more threats than a man. Like, you got, you know, in a relationship, or you got to be like, you just met somebody and you start going out with him, start getting to know him, going out with him, and you probably got some things in your mind, going through your mind, like, is this okay guy? Like, I wonder, you know, like, met some people in the past that was kind of, not saying that you have, but, you know, you got so many things. You know, well, as a man, I'm wondering, is like, I meet a woman, is she stable? But more so as a woman, you wondering, like, you know, who am I inviting into my life, you know? And, you know, different reasons, strangers, like, now, you know, women getting abducted and stuff, you know, and just, you know, and then just haters in general. You know, you might start a new business, you know, like, they like hating on you, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, but anyway, when I excuse me.
I was agreeing with you. I was saying yes because as a woman, well, even as a child, you know, moving from Southwest Virginia to New York and going to school and walking to school, you know, in the 80s, you know, when there was the crack epidemics and things like that, fighting grown men as a young girl, fighting grown men.
Oh, really?
Yes, fighting
Oh
grown
man, I'm
men.
sorry.
Fighting
Right,
grown men, fighting other boys, you know what I'm saying? Fighting other girls. That was the
right,
culture and the climate. So, I don't experience that so much anymore, but there's definitely
right,
times of recent that I could really, you know, definitely see the benefits. So when a woman trains with you, what is she going to gain?
okay. So I first of all I'll tell them, and you know, like first, you know, you getting protection, like, you know, protection from like potential physical harm, and then like, you know, say if it's somebody who's never done any type of martial arts,
Right.
and I'll explain like off of some of the things we already discussed, like how you bring your arms up and block, and you don't have to use any strength. You don't have to be like some weightlifter, or
Right.
you know, have to play sports. You know, because a lot of people ain't in shape like that,
Right.
and you know, just to show like, see, it only takes so much. You know, you bring up your arms and you can hold somebody there, and then you're going to move a certain way. And you know, so I try to build them up mentally, and just like, you know, just like knowing that, hey, I can do something that I never thought I could do before. You know, that's going to spark some confidence in you, and but yeah, just build up like self confidence, and then just go from there. And something else, like when I, you know, a couple of years after I was taking this, you know, I was like, you know, I always found myself like, if you was my friend or somebody in my family, I was always, I said, yeah, I just came from class, and this is the neatest content. I'd always be trying to explain it to them, like how a technique worked. You know, something they didn't even ask me about, because I was like, man, it's the best thing since sliced bread. I'm telling you, you know, and you know, but I'm in a small town. I'm in an area where I was like, I just don't get it. I said they don't want this, and I would even be talking to women that have dealt with domestic violence, and this is something that would always come up, almost always. Mm-hmm. Well, I got a gun in my purse. I'll just shoot, you know. And you know, sometimes people will say, just it's easy to sit there and say, well, I'll do this. And she said, I'll just shoot him. I said, yeah, I said, well, your gun's at the bottom of your purse right now, and nobody's gonna give you a 5-6 second head start. All right. I'm gonna rough you up. I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to get that gun out your purse, you know, and go ahead, you know. But I would always hear about, well, I tell you what, when I first, right before I started teaching, I had, you know, I spent 10 years learning with my sensei.
Okay.
And some things happened that caused me not to be able to go anymore. And so I think about a year, maybe 10 months went by. And I was just, you know, like just maybe going through some depression, or just like antsy about not being able to do this anymore. Right. And start watching, you ever seen the movie Enough with J-Lo in it?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, I don't have to, I was about to say, it came in. Hey, okay, so now, you know, you see
boxing and getting ready with her daughter and all that.
Yeah, and then at the end of the movie, she put that cat suit on, put them rings on, and got in there and, you know, dealt with old boy, you know, and it's like, but you see the transformation in her, like, you know, halfway through the movie, she's learning these things, learning how to fight and stuff. And so I was sitting at home one day from work, and I saw that movie, and around the same time, they start in the news, they start having reports of break-ins. It was women's apartments was getting broke into. Right. A couple of different apartment complexes. And then on the news, somebody said we got at one of our walking trails, 2 teenage girls got, you know, they was walking, and somebody just pulls over, like certain part of the walking trail, you can see the highway. Mm-hmm. And it was a couple guys in a vehicle. They pulled over, and they just, I don't know if it was both of them or one guy, he just started chasing these teenage girls. And, the report I got was, I think they got away from him. And during this was, I think it was about a 2 or 3 week period where I seen the movie enough and hearing about these apartment complexes. And then I heard about that. And I said, I was like, well, I'll tell you what, I heard about the apartment complex and the women getting chased first. And then I was sitting home watching the movie.
Okay.
And halfway through the movie where they show her taking the lessons. And I guess the fact that it was, I don't know the actor who they had her teaching this stuff. I don't know his name, okay. But I guess the fact that it resonated with me so much because it was a brother showing her, and I was sitting outside, I can do that. Yeah. Okay. And this light just came on with, she started making some flyers in. I was like, yeah, I can do that. And so I started making flyers. I was handing them to everybody, people that, I didn't have in my mind that you got to have a target audience, right. Like everybody's not going to want to do this.
Right.
And so started passing out flyers and stuff. And I in my process of handing out flyers, and I was just stuff I wrote. I was printing and passing it out. And I met the parents of one of those young ladies that got chased by the guy. He said, yeah, he told me about it. And I was like, I heard about that. And so started making business cards too. And I started renting out spaces at rec centers and gyms and stuff.
Right.
And I rented out space at a couple of gyms. And it's like the 2 of the gyms closed. And the rec center I was at, they let me keep my match there. And the rec center I was at, and they even gave me a key because I was off on weekends. I would come have class at that time on Saturday. And they got broke into, and I had to get a key back. And I'm like, it's like, you start out something, it's like you get tested. Like, do you really want this? Like, if you're going to quit right now, then, hey, like you just wimped out or whatever. And so like the pictures you see with the white walls and like that's my studio now.
Okay, Sensei, I just want to interject. Yeah, if you look at his feed, and matter of fact, you can find him at Aikido_47, correct? On Instagram. So if you go to his feed right now, you can see, well, not right now, but when we're done, at some particular point, you can actually see his working space with his mats. He has a beautiful space that he trains people at. But you also bring up 2 key points that I think is a misconception. So when you hear these things going, that there's someone running around snatching up girls and things like that, people say, okay, well, travel in pairs, don't go anywhere alone. But the misconception is that a man can take 2 to 3 girls at a time. Or there's a certain way that they can take more than one. So even if you're with your girlfriend, even if you're with your man, you're still in danger. So knowing these type of techniques, self-defense techniques, escape techniques, hold, choke, everything that you demonstrated is so very important.
Right. And like I said, and this too, like I'm not, and even I do this. I'm not against pepper spray, and like I to this day, like if I go out of town or go just somewhere, I'll put pepper spray in my pocket, my right pocket, and most of them reach out to 12 to 15 feet, and I'll say, hey, because I'm always running these scenarios in my head, like. It's not going to always be a situation where you get to do your best moves, like do your function, just like spray the person. If you get them, get out of there,
right.
Go or
now let me,
I remember,
go ahead.
Real quick, I had my nurse practitioner, she has a, I don't know, at the time, I think she was 5-year-old granddaughter that was getting bullied at school. And I think they're from, I think her daughter and her granddaughter, they live in Arizona. Okay. So they came here. It's about maybe a little over a year ago. They came down here for a few days. And she invited me over to her house, my nurse practitioner. And I was like, again, like, see, this is, I'm used to teaching adults, right?
Right.
And so I had to, that was a blessing to me too. But I had, like that happen. I had to think I had to change the curriculum. I ended up showing her some things. Like I went over there, and I'll tell you what, she told me about it. She said, well, Nick, I had like a week to prepare. And I said, she said, it usually happens on the playground at school. I said, if you can't get her to draw me a diagram of the playground. Mm-hmm. I said, just, I got the monkey bars over here to swing over there. And she did that. She drawed it, and I went over there to see it. See, before I went over there, I went to
You actually went to school?
No, I went to my nurse practitioner's house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, she drew me a picture of the playground, and before I went over there, I stopped off at Walmart, and I got 2 whistles. Like get some whistles like you see in gym or a referee or whatever. And one of them had a little thing you could put it on your wrist. There's 2 of them. And so when I got there, she showed me the diagram of the playground, and I said, okay. And now I know all of us have seen in prison movies, right?
Yeah.
Like some kind of, you go out on the yard, you a lot of times that's what.
That's actually what a playground looked like.
Right. So I was like,
similar.
Right. I was thinking survival. I said, okay. So me and her got down on the floor, and she showed me that drawing, and I said, all right. I said, here's the monkey bars. She had everything named, monkey bars, sand pit, and all that stuff. And I said, okay. I said, all right, where does the teacher normally stand at? And she said, she stands over here, like just by some bench or something. I said, all right. I said, I'll tell you what you're going to do. I said, when all of the kids run out, they're all over the place. Some go to the monkey bar, some go. Yeah. And I said, I want you to, don't be in a hurry to go out